Hello, dear friends. I decided to create another video on how to make almost any drive for sliding, swing or garage gates smart in a simple and hassle-free way. But at the same time, we still have the ability to control the gate from a standard control key fob. And also added the ability to control from a smartphone, control via time or automation of a smart home Tuya Smart or Home Assistant, the ability to connect additional key fobs at a frequency of 433 MHz, as well as control using an external wireless button. In addition, we will connect an opening and closing sensor, and look at examples of automation that I use in my yard. I can tell you from experience that this is the second super function after installing an electric gate drive. I will tell you at the end of the video. If you remember, I have already made several videos on how to make almost any gate drive smart. Here is a simple example of a relay with dry contacts and control from a smartphone. But a relay with a dry contact, which is specifically designed to work with a gate drive, has its own plugin and even an opening and closing sensor, which is also important. I have it installed now. It has already survived the winter and I have no questions about it. So what do you miss, you ask? And I will answer. I miss aesthetics, that's one. 2 original RF key fobs for controlling the drive are no longer sold, and the old ones are out of order. You can open and close the gate from your phone, but I want to make the functionality a little more than it is. If you are interested, let's go make it, especially since anyone who can read and has held a screwdriver in their hands once can handle it. Let's start with what we need. Well, the first thing is the electric gate drive itself. It can be like this for sliding gates. It can also be for swing gates or roller gates. The main thing is that you can connect an external control button. Next, we need a gate opening controller for the Tuya ecosystem. It is important to choose either a Wi-Fi protocol, just connect to your home internet router, or a ZigBee protocol, if you have already learned all the little things about a smart home. I recommend ZigBee, but for beginners you can also use Wi-Fi. Then you don't have to buy anything, but for convenience I decided to buy a control button for 1 or 2 channels 433 MHz. And also a remote control, which also works on the 433 MHz channel. I will tell you about each of them later. I will not talk about the gate opening drive. Each has its own. I will just give the most frequently asked question in the comments. This is how to connect the controller to the drive. Guys, I cannot know everything about all the drives, and I do not strive for this. Each drive has an instruction, and if it is not, there is Google, where by requesting the name of the drive instruction.pdf you will get this information. In the instructions we need only 2 points. This is connecting the power supply for the controller. The easiest option is to connect through an adapter to a 220 volt network. If this is not in the description under the video, I will leave a link to a 220 volt to 5 volt converter. The second option, which is also available in many drives, is 12 or 24 volts. In my case, I see that 12 volts are coming to the contacts, and I will connect here. This controller model requires 5 volts from USB. That's why I bought this converter from 6 to 40 volts, to 5 volts with a USB connector. In the description under the video, I will leave a link to a new opening controller that does not require such a converter. There you can connect from 7 to 40 volts or 5 volts USB. Here is a step-down DC/DC converter with one USB based on KSZ3R33S, C7 to 24 volts I bought. Output voltage, DC 5 volts with a USB socket. Output current 3 amperes. This is even a lot. The main advantage is the finished board. On one side there is a terminal block for connecting power wires, and on the other side there is a USB port for connecting the controller. Nothing needs to be soldered. The connection is the simplest. Of course, you can just take the DC-DC converters from this review, but you will have to solder the wires. We connect the wires from terminals 1 and 2 of our drive to the terminal block. According to the instructions, this will power the controller. Here, too, you need to look at the diagram of your drive. The second point that you need to pay attention to is the ability to connect a button, or open the gate with a short-term closure of contacts. In my case, these are contacts. In your case, read the instructions carefully. Then we take a simple paper clip and check the instructions, wash the necessary contacts for 1 second. Here's how you can see my drive began to open the gate. We wash the stop again, and the third time is closing. The so-called step-by-step mode. You may have this or simply the second time will cause the gate to close. The main thing is to find the contacts that control this. Universal switch with a frequency of 433 MHz. I have already considered the switch in detail in this review. You can choose 1, 2, or 3 keys. Each key already has its own unique code assigned to it on the 433 MHz channel, so we will train the remote control and controller directly from the button. Power from 112-volt battery, which will last for quite a long time. You can fix it with screws or with double-sided tape. The appearance is no different from the switch, but the thickness will allow you to fix it even in a closet or on the wall near the front door. I chose 2 buttons, since my first button will open or close the gate, and the second will open the wicket. I had already installed a smart relay with RF433 support from this review there beforehand. Original drive control panel. I will not consider the drive control panel. I really don't like its appearance, and plus after 7 years of operation it has a very unattractive appearance. But it will perform its functions of opening or closing the gate. It is written into the brains of the drive controller, and I will not erase it. These will be backup remote controls. I don't know how in our time it is possible to make such a product, which is terrible both in design and in size. And if you consider that the price tag of the original remote is about $25. No thanks. You say. Yes, but this remote cannot be cloned. Since there is a dynamic code, that's why the price is so. I thought so too, and for the sake of safety I did not make this video earlier. Look, there are only 2 screws on the drive. Having unscrewed them, we get to the control board, shorting the second contact with a paper clip and the drive opens. Why should we copy a complex key if we can do everything easier? Moreover, there is no such thing in cheaper drives. You can copy a large and una aesthetic key fob into a small one, the color of which can be chosen to match your car. Universal remote control for cloning 433 MHz. I chose this remote control, but in fact, you can choose to suit your taste. Just enter in the AliExpress search bar remote control 433 MHz or remote control 433 MHz. Choose the appearance yourself. The main thing is the frequency. I chose this blue one. Then I have a yellow and black remote control. Reset all remote control values, since they may already be programmed for testing from the factory. To do this, hold down the first and second buttons for about 3 seconds. After that, release the first button, but continue to hold the second one. Press the first button 3 times until the indicator LED starts blinking. The remote control is clean and ready to record new codes into memory. To record, press and hold any button that we need to program. Now press and hold the button on the 433 MHz key fob, or as in my case, press the button that we want to program to open the gate. You need to bring the 2 devices very close to each other. Now press and hold the button on the original key fob or button until the LED on the key fob lights up. That's it. The 433 MHz code is recorded in the remote control on button 1. When you press this button, the red LED lights up. When there is no code in the memory, there is no indication on the key fob either. Now let's move on to the controller. This is a special controller designed to control electric gate drives. All in one for quick and easy connection. On one of the sides we see the device parameters. As you can see, it is not afraid of frost and heat. Here on the box it is written that this is a Wi-Fi version, but on the other side we already see that the sticker is ZigBee. I have a ZigBee version of the connection protocol, but in the description I will leave a link to the Wi-Fi version. Inside there is a bag with everything you need. Let's put the controller itself aside, we will return to it later. You can take a look at the instructions once to understand how to put the controller into pairing mode, and how to add 433 MHz remote controls to control this controller. Next we have a wired opening sensor. This sensor is very useful, since it allows you not only to make automation at the beginning of the opening or closing of the gate, but you will also be sure that the gate has opened or, most importantly, closed. There are wireless sensors, but it seems to me that reliability is the main thing here, so I chose a wired one. The cable is long, which will allow you to place it almost anywhere. And if the cable is not long enough, you can extend it. On one side there is a connector for connecting to the controller. The sensor is a regular reed switch for closing. That is, on one side there is a reed switch that closes when the mating magnetic part approaches. You can attach it either with the screws that come in the kit or with double-sided tape. It is also included in the kit, but I suspect that it is for attaching the controller. Well, here is the controller itself. It is powered by 5 volts via a connection to the USB port. This is a bit of a minus, since you will have to use a converter. On the other side, we see 2 wires with connectors. The wires with the red connector are connected to the gate opening sensor. And the wires with the black connector are connected to the gate drive. Here, the principle is the same. The relay closes the contacts of the red and black wires, but no voltage is supplied to the wires. This is the so-called dry contact. I talked about this in this video. I recommend you watch it. All the contacts on the drive closed, it started to open, they closed once again or stopped or closed, depending on the drive settings. In the center of the controller is an LED indicating the operating modes and settings. Under it is a button for manual control of the relay. Press the relay and it closes. Long holding when turning on switches to pairing mode for adding to the Tuya Smart smart home ecosystem. If you hold for more than 5 seconds, you add a 433 MHz remote control. Holding for more than 10 seconds clears the memory of all programmed remote controls. Below is the Tuya ZBH1 RF model, 5-volt power supply and ZigBee protocol. The back is completely smooth, which will allow you to easily attach the controller to any flat surface with double-sided tape. But there are also 2 holes. If you unfasten the lower plastic pad, you can fasten it with screws, and then snap the main body. Let's just look at the inner world of the controller. There is nothing complicated here, a smart chip for control, an indicator LED and a control button under it. Next is a relay for as much as 10 amps, but if we turn the board over and look at the tracks going to it, we see that they simply close the relay, nothing comes to them. Dry contact, as it is. Under the relay there is a small antenna for the 433 MHz signal receiver. I don't know why they write that the current is 1 ampere. Here, as you can see, it is simply insignificant, which is not taken into account by the sensor. If you connect it to a power bank, it may not see such a load. So any voltage converter or power supply with USB with minimal load values is suitable for connection. Let's connect the controller to the Tuya Smart smart home ecosystem. We put the controller into pairing mode. For this, before turning on the power, hold the button and connect the power. As you can see, the LED began to blink red. Next, open the application, and usually the auto search immediately gives us a new device. If this did not happen, click the plus in the upper right part of the screen and select Add Device. Below, select a socket with the Wi-Fi or ZigBee protocol depending on which protocol you purchased for the controller. Then follow the instructions on the screen and in a few seconds the device will be added to the Tuya Smart smart home ecosystem. Here I have added a ZigBee garage door. We can open the gate immediately from the main screen of the application by pressing the virtual power button of the controller. By going inside the plugin, we see the current state of our gate. Mine is currently closed. It is very disappointing that in addition to the status inscription, there is a graphic. There is even an animation for the opening. When the gate is open, there will be information that it is open, and the background will change. When closing, there will also be animation, and the pop-up window will transmit data from the opening sensor, whether the gate is open or closed. You can open or close the gate by pressing the virtual on/off button. The time and date of the last opening or closing will also be displayed at the bottom. After successfully adding to the smart home ecosystem and having a stable connection, the LED will light red. You can also view the work log, when the gate was opened or closed. Moreover, this log is kept by the opening sensor, and it does not matter whether you opened the gate through the application, or closed it through the key fob or automation. That is why the opening sensor in such an installation is a very important thing, since it allows you to monitor the opening of the gate not only through the smart controller, but their physical state, open or closed. At the same time, transmitting information to the program for subsequent automation. This is very convenient. In the timer settings, you can set a schedule for when the gate should be opened and when to close it. Here, this is probably more for industrial facilities. In the second timer, you can set the countdown time for changing the status. That is, if closed, open in 5 minutes, or if open, then close in 10 minutes, for example. In the settings, you can turn on or off notifications about opening or closing the gate. And also set the duration of the animation and status change. You need to measure the actual time for opening or closing the gate and set it in this field. For me, it is 11 seconds. As in most similar controllers, there is no way to set the pulse duration, it is approximately 4 seconds. In the global settings, we can rename the device, create a group of devices or share with others. I recommend enabling notifications if the device goes offline. At the time of filming the review, there were no updates. The firmware version is 1.07. Let's see what the device can do in terms of automation. First, let's see what the controller offers as an if condition. That is, if the controller does something, then we will do something else. Here in the conditions there is a condition for turning on or off the relay, the status of the gate opening sensor, the opening time. And also an error mode, a sensor or motor error. I don't know where this error information will come from. Also the set timer can be a condition for triggering automation. But the most important thing for automation here is the condition for the sensor status, open or closed. Since only this condition will work when opening from automation, remote control or button. Now let's see what the controller can do in the if condition, as an executor. There are fewer conditions here, turning on the relay, setting the timer or changing the animation time. If you want to make automation for opening or closing, it is better to use the reverse switch condition in the switch automation. But I will say from experience, it is better to use automation only when the if condition is triggered, if the gate sensor has opened or closed. For me, these automations are associated with lighting. If it is dark and the gate opens, turn on the backlight in the yard. Turn it off after 5 minutes. It is very convenient, the gate opens immediately and it is light in the garage or in the yard, you do not need to wait until the motion sensor is triggered. But after the gate has closed, after 2 minutes, we turn off the lighting. Well, another option is to make automation of security. If from 0 to 6 AM the gate opened, turn on the alarm. That's why I said at the beginning of the video that the opening sensor in this controller is a very useful thing. And since it is wired, you should not worry that the controller will work, but the sensor will die and you will not know the current status of the gate, and this is safety. Let's check what our controller can do in the Home Assistant smart home ecosystem. First of all, let's check the standard Tuya Smart integration. It includes devices that are connected to your account. The downside of this connection is that everything happens through the Tuya server, that is, complete dependence on the internet channel. But the plus is that you can control it from the Home Assist server, as well as from a smartphone. We find our ZigBee garage door device, go to it. And unfortunately, we cannot control it. There are no options or even a work log. That is, it is not supported by the standard Tuya Smart integration. In general, this is a ready-to-install controller, but since I wanted to improve it, I need to take up a little more of your time. First, let's find 2 small pieces of wire and connect them through a terminal block to the DC/DC converter. We have already programmed the remote control to the code from the switch button. Now we need to teach our controller. Hold down the control button on the body until the indicator LED lights up blue, about 5 seconds. Now press the switch button that we selected to control the gate. That's it. The controller remembered the code for this signal and will now open or close using the switch or from the remote control. As you can see, installation is also simple if you have studied and checked the drive circuit. But I made a little mistake in buying the converter DC/DC. My drive has 12 and 24 volts of alternating voltage at the output, not direct voltage. I will leave a link to the correct converter under the video. Since I have already started filming the video and waiting for the converter to arrive would be a bit stupid. Therefore, I decided to use an unnecessary power supply with 220 volts and I will connect the controller itself to it. I will take 220 volts from these contacts. This is the power supply for the drives. As you can see, the LED indicating the connection to the network lights up. Everything is okay. But I connected 2 dry contact wires to control the drive motor. In my case, these are the ground and PP contact. The hardest thing is probably to attach the gate opening and closing sensor. I decided to attach it directly to the rail so as not to stretch the cable far. As soon as the rail moves away, the opening will be triggered. As soon as the gate closes, the condition that the gate is closed will occur. I did the installation on double-sided tape. Everything has already survived the harsh winter and is holding up as the following scheme: open, stop and close. That is, if the full opening has not occurred, and the button on the remote control is pressed again, the opening will stop and the drive will stop. The next press closes the gate. If the gate has opened completely, then a repeated press is closing the gate, that is, start open closed. This is how it happens from the native remote control. We take the smartphone in our hands. We press open the gate. The opening has started. After 11 seconds, the gate opened. The animation stopped. Now I can close it either from the native remote control or from a clone of the remote control or from the switch. I closed it from the application for now. So after 11 seconds, the gate is closed. I open it from the switch, as we can see without problems. I stop it from the native drive control panel and start closing from the new remote control. At the same time, as you can see, the work log is written regardless of how I open the gate. I will repeat again that the opening sensor is a big plus. Without it is just a relay, and with it a full-fledged gate controller. The work of the clone of the remote control is definitely not worse than the original remote control. And even the range has increased by about 1.5 times. As you can see, it opens and closes without problems. The switch button also copes with this task perfectly. Here we open, stop, and close. And with the second button, if I need to, I can open the gate. There is also a relay with a dry contact and support for the RF433 protocol. Conclusions. Such a controller should be purchased immediately after installing the drive for the gate or roller shutter. Several examples from life. I went to the store, and then relatives or guests arrived, who, well, arrived ahead of schedule. Why keep people behind the fence? Opened the gate remotely from a smartphone, made sure through the camera or by calling that everyone entered or drove into the yard. Close the gate, the guests are waiting sitting at the table in the yard. The second point here with both the gate and the gate is children. You just need to install the application on their smartphone and you cannot give the keys to the gate or gate, the child can open the gate from a smartphone, and go home or into the yard without the keys. Even when walking the dog, I leave the gate open, go out, and then a strong wind closes it. I have a smart gate, but we are talking about the gate now. I open it with my smartphone and go home. If you are in a hurry, you can start opening the gate even without direct visibility, when the remote control does not even reach you, and fly up to the house with the gate open. I am not even talking about automation, it is very convenient with light, the opening has just started, and it is already light. A regular motion sensor will not work like that. I started building such smart gates with a simple relay, but the functionality was not enough, namely the functionality of notification of the current status. Everything is in one, and considering the cost of the native 433 MHz remote control for the drive, you can buy 2 such controllers or 1 controller and 5 key fobs, which will be more beautiful, compact and functional. It's up to you, but I strongly recommend purchasing and installing a garage door controller. By automation capabilities here everyone chooses their own option for working with the controller and sensor. You will find all the links to the products in the description under the video. There is also a link to the group in Telegram, where you will find not only new products on the smart home system, but also coupons, promotions and other communication and answers to questions. There are also links to the smart home forum, where all topics are divided into sections for more convenient communication and information search. Please do not forget to like if you liked the video, and subscribe to the channel so as not to miss other interesting videos about smart and not so smart home systems. All the best to everyone, peaceful skies and goodness. Bye.